I stood in the driveway with the keys in my hand, staring at the old truck like it might speak up and stop me. The buyer was already on his way. I told myself this was just a practical decision, but my chest felt heavier than it should have. The truck had been sitting there for months, untouched. A faded blue pickup with chipped paint, a cracked dashboard, and a radio that only worked when it felt like it. My father had driven it for nearly 20 years. After he passed, it became one more thing I didn't know what to do with. Life doesn't pause when someone dies. Bills still come. Kids still need rides to school. Work deadlines don't care about grief. I was 42, juggling a full-time job, 2 teenagers, and a house that always needed something fixed. The truck felt like clutter, like a reminder I didn't have time to deal with. My wife never pushed me either way. She just said, "Do what feels right." That was the problem. I didn't know what felt right anymore. Dad wasn't a man of big speeches. He showed up. Every Saturday morning, he'd wash that truck in the driveway, even in winter. He said it ran better when it was respected. I used to laugh at that. Now I wasn't so sure. I hadn't driven it since the funeral. Every time I opened the door, the smell of oil, old leather, and coffee hit me like a memory I wasn't ready to face. So I kept it locked. Until the day I decided to sell it. The buyer texted me he'd be there in 20 minutes. I figured I'd at least clean it out first. I opened the driver's side door and climbed in, the seat creaking under my weight. It felt smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I'd just grown heavier with time. I reached into the glove compartment and found Dad's old work gloves, still stiff, still stained. I rubbed my thumb over them without thinking. Then I found a folded piece of paper tucked behind the owner's manual. It was a receipt from a hardware store, dated 8 years ago. On the back, in my father's uneven handwriting, was a short note. Oil change every 3,000. Check tires. Don't forget to call Mark. Mark was me. I stared at that note longer than I should have. He'd written reminders for himself, but somehow included me in them. Like he was planning ahead, making sure I'd be taken care of, even in small ways. I leaned back and closed my eyes. I remembered riding shotgun as a kid, my legs dangling, listening to him talk about nothing and everything. How he taught me to drive in an empty parking lot, patient even when I stalled the engine 5 times in a row. How proud he looked when I finally got it right. My phone buzzed, the buyer again. 5 minutes out. I told myself memories weren't reasons to keep a truck. Memories lived in people, not objects. That's what I'd been telling myself for months. But then I noticed the radio knob. I turned it and static filled the cab. After a second, an old country song came through, faint but familiar. Dad used to hum along to that station, always off-key. I could almost hear him. Something in me shifted, not dramatically, just a quiet pause. I realized I wasn't selling the truck because I didn't need it. I was selling it because it hurt to keep it. And avoiding pain isn't the same as moving on. When the buyer pulled into the driveway, I was still sitting there. I stepped out and met him halfway. He was polite, businesslike. He asked the usual questions. I answered them automatically. Then he said, "So, you ready to let her go?" I opened my mouth and stopped. The words didn't come out right away. "I'm sorry," I said finally. "I don't think I am." He looked surprised, then shrugged. "No problem. Happens." As he drove away, I felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Relief because the decision was made. Fear because now I had to live with it. That night, I told my kids about the truck. they'd barely noticed it before. My son asked if it still ran. My daughter asked why it mattered so much. I didn't have a perfect answer. I just said, "It reminds me of Grandpa." The next weekend, I asked my son if he wanted to help me change the oil. He rolled his eyes at first, but he came out anyway. We fumbled through it together, making a mess, laughing more than we expected. Later, I took the truck out for a drive, just around town. Nothing special. But with each mile, the weight in my chest eased a little. I don't know how long I'll keep it. Maybe one day I will sell it. But now it won't be because I'm running from something. It'll be because I'm ready. Some things aren't about usefulness or value. They're about connection, about honoring where you came from without being trapped by it. That old truck didn't just carry tools and groceries. It carried a lifetime of quiet love. And for now, that's something I'm willing to make room for.